Hi, I'm Tim, and welcome to WatchYouWant.com. Thanks for logging on. Today, we're looking at a robust Kraken, a challenger from Denmark, no less, to the Hublot Big Bang and the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore Series. Now, this is a bit of a kinder Kraken. It's a fun-loving beast. This is the Linde Werdelin Oktopus Yellow Titanium, and as you can see, it really does live up to its name. So this is a retina-scorching monster from the small Danish watchmaker Linde Werdelin, actually best described as a sort of tri-national hybrid of Danish design, a London business office, and Swiss manufacturing and refinement. Linde Werdelin is an experiment launched by the designer Morten Linde and his business partner and career jeweler and watch enthusiast Jorn Werdelin. Now the bottom line is they got off the ground in 2002 with their concept to produce a contemporary, fun-loving instrument watch, something that was a sports watch, something that was modernist, something that was unpretentious, and just pure enjoyment. This isn't pretending to be a dress reference. It's making no pretense of having a 200-year history or patrimony. What it is competing with the best of modern high-end sports watches on their own terms, using a few tricks Linde Werdelin have created themselves. Now, first and foremost, let's do a wrist impression. Whenever you talk about an oversized sports watch, people ask, how big? How will this look on my wrist? And it's an unconventional case shape, so in addition to being about 44 millimeters across, it's about 46 millimeters from lug to lug. Now my wrist is 6 1/3 inches, that's 16 centimeters, so you can see it's big, it's chunky, it fits well, and a big key to that is this gorgeous, almost radioactive yellow strap. It feels incredibly supple against the skin, and because of this segmentation that you can see near the lugs, it actually conforms beautifully. Now it's able to sort of fold and crease itself at those bellows that are etched into the rubber material, so it'll conform even better than something that's big and bulky, like, for instance, a Hublot natural rubber or an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore diver strap. Now the diver's great, but I would say that this Linde Werdelin strap is even a cut above in terms of comfort on the wrist. Now the case itself, like I said, is 46 millimeters from lug to lug, and it's about 44 across. If you like the big watch look, you can pull this off with a smaller wrist. It's not going to fit under a cuff of any kind. But the bottom line is it's not designed to. This is a fun watch. This is a watch for jumping in the surf, jumping back onto the turf, going for a bike ride, going for a run, and it's good for it. With a titanium case and a ceramic bezel, it's plenty hardy. Now this is not the first Octopus. That was a 2009 edition. This is the Oktopus 2. It's bigger, bolder, and it features a gorgeous skeletonized dial that you can see right here. It has incredible depth and nuance. Now the Linde Werdelin signature right here between 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock has become a signature of these watches. If you look at the way the skeletonization reveals elements of the double date right here, reveals elements of the machined metallic base plate underneath the date, reveals elements of a multi-planar dial that quite frankly has a lot more nuance than the iPhone can even begin to capture. There's also a special chapter ring around the edge with the loomed indexes, and that itself is a different plane that adds more depth to the watch. And if you look at it from an angle here, you can even see that there's another haute around that chapter ring itself that is slightly angled to give a little bit of a dished appearance, and that slopes downward towards the main dial itself. So like I said, a lot of depth, a lot of nuance. As big, bold, loud, and proud as it is, a lot of thought went into articulating this dial and adding visual interest so that it's still intriguing at second, third, fourth, and so on glances. The watch doesn't get old. The bottom line is there are only 88 of these, so for most people, you'll only get a passing glance at it. And in terms of the oversized bezel and the expression of materials, they've taken part of what Audemars Piguet and Hublot have started, and then they've taken it to the next level. First with the bezel itself, you see these relieved channels around the bolts, and then you see color-coordinated washers and gaskets that are actually inserted underneath each of the bolts for an extra splash of color and an extra dose of character. You can see that there's a docking port on each side. Each flank actually features a docking point that allows Linde Werdelin to integrate its modular reef or rock electronic dive computers and land instruments, respectively. Now the rock is for skiing, it's for spelunking, it's for land sports and extreme activity on turf, and for surf and offshore use you have the reef, which features triaxial compass, thermometer, data logging, depth gauge, multiple dive timers and alarms. Each one is specialized for its respective task, but whether you're going with the Oktopus, which is the dive model, or the S.p.A, which is more of your land sports model, Either one can fit both modules, so there's a lot of versatility built in here. That's why there's no unidirectional, bidirectional, or so on diving bezel, because you plug that dive computer onto the watch and it becomes a modern dive instrument, not some sort of 50s anachronistic relic recalling what dive watches were like back in the days of Jacques Cousteau. Linde Werdelin says, let's make the watch, let the computer dock with it when necessary, clear away the electronics when they're not. And the bottom line is, it works perfectly. It's a gorgeous watch and a unique reference, and like I said, as one of only 88 made, you're just not going to see many of these. Now, in this modern era, even limited edition Hublot and Royal Oak offshores are pretty much a dime a dozen on the new and pre-owned markets. If you want something that's truly different, truly unique, big, bold, and visible, but at the same time, the only one on the block, Linde Werdelin's a great choice because the brand now has good distribution and credibility in the US market, for instance, but at the same time, they're still kind of a well-kept secret and a cult watch, so while you're able to get them and get them serviced, the bottom line is very few people are ever going to see one. This is not like the office that's pretty much the Rolex fan club. You're never going to see one of these at the office, and for that matter, you're probably not going to see one at the beach or the pool. It's completely different, and coming as it does from a Danish design tradition, like the Sydney Opera House, like Legos, it's a little bit quirky, but it's got a lot of charm, and it's a completely different take on the dive watch. Heck, it's even got a different take on original box and papers. Now, this example does come with full Linde Werdelin factory accessories. The box, the papers, heck, this even has the kind of weird manga-style comics that they call instruction manuals. So if you've seen the Linde Werdelin ads online, if you've seen any of their boxed sets before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, but you have any familiarity with graphic novels, that should give you some primer for what this stuff looks like. A very different philosophy of building, engineering, refining, and even packaging watches. That's Linde Werdelin. See it on our website, watchyouwant.com, for a very original tri-national take on the modern, oversized sports watch. I have a feeling that if you like the Royal Oak Offshore and you like the Hublot Big Bang, but you want something that, in all likelihood, no one else has, then this Linde Werdelin Oktopus Yellow Titanium just might be the watch you want.